So I've arrived home. I've just got off the ferry after an almost 5,000 kilometre long ride along the European Divide bike packing trail and some ordinary bike touring through Germany. As I'm about to unpack the bike, I thought I might do just a quick run through of what has stayed on the bike, what I've used, and just give it one or two quick comments of what worked and what didn't. And I'll start at the front. The front, I have this Ortlieb front bag, and it's been quite good. It's waterproof, it's nice and easy to mount. I don't find it all that easy to access, but it fits really well inside drop bars. So if you have a drop bar set up, I actually prefer this to the more ordinary handlebar type bags that have the rolling closures with the openings on the side. This is a lot easier to access. It's been a little bit floppy. I have to tighten it every now and again. I would have liked it to be a little bit more stable. One of the problems is I've been carrying some heavy stuff in it. I think this would be a lot better if I just kept my sleeping equipment in it. So that's probably what I'll do in the future. As it is now, on the side pockets, they have these really practical side mesh pockets. I'm carrying a small tripod for quick access for the camera and for the 360 camera. On the other pocket, I'm carrying just a cheap small lock. I haven't used that much, but every now and again when you run into a store or something, you do need a lock. And also the most important, paperwork. You always need to have easy and quick access to important paper. Inside the bag itself, I've been carrying my camera. I started this trip with a drone and just a 360 camera and my iPhone, but I lost the drone, as you might have seen in an earlier video, so I decided to carry a camera instead. So in this bag I'm carrying my Panasonic S5 with the 20-60 kit lens wrapped in a soft cover to keep it safe. I also have Sigma 90mm 2.8 extra lens to use as a portrait lens or when I want to get a little bit closer to a few things. Also in a neoprene bag. And I have a small bag of goodies where I keep microphone, charger, ND filter, little odds and ends that I need access to when I'm actually using the camera. As I said, that might be a little bit heavy for this bag for it to be optimal, so in the future I might want to think about how I'm carrying that. Aside from that, I've had this Sling bag. It's like a courier type Sling bag, a very, very small, cheap one that's been really, really good, because when I want to take valuables with me from the bike, I've been using this when I will go shopping or when I move about, when I have rest days. And it's also easy to just sling over your shoulder and use to carry extra stuff. If for some reason you buy extra food in a stop in a town and you want to carry some stuff with you out to maybe eat that night or for lunch later on that same day, this bag has been really, really good. It feels quite light and cheap, and I was worried that it wouldn't work all that well, but it's actually been excellent. In here I also keep a jumper. Depending on the weather when I'm riding and what it's been like, I've either kept the jumper or some wet weather gear there for quick access. And when I started this trip, you needed face masks, so I've got some face masks in there, some extra toilet paper. That's it for that bag. I started the trip using a frame bag, but I actually swapped the frame bag for these fork bags from Ortlieb, and I actually find them a lot easier to use. Quick, I just feel the access is a bit quicker. I feel they're a little bit easier to pack, and they are quick to detach, to put on and off. And I like to have the weight of the the water, extra water centered here in the frame. It works out quite well. So in these bags, I try to keep my food. So these are pretty empty at the moment because I've tried to sort of eat my way through this as the trip has been progressing, and I didn't want to have too much stuff with me when I came home. So these are reasonably empty. There would be a lot more in them usually. Banana chips, coconut cubes, trail mix, my extra little pot, chia seeds, and of course the spoon. Now I started this trip with a stove, but I found I wasn't using it that much, and I found that before when I've been traveling in Europe that I don't tend to use a stove that much in Europe. I like to eat at a restaurant or local food, get coffee in coffee shops, and I get by quite well without the stove, and there's so much food that you can cook and prepare that you don't need the stove for, and if you need a hot meal, you can always go into a town. Europe's pretty easy that way. It's always quick to get somewhere. There's always town, there's always some sort of place where you can get something. So depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing, if next year I'm doing the northern section of the European Divide Trail, I probably will carry a stove, as in the northern parts of Sweden, Norway and Finland. It's much further between services, and it'd be nice to be able to make hot coffee every now and again. The other bag on the other side, that's more food, an extra stuff sack, water filtration. I carry a filter and some pills, some iodine pills if I need it. I haven't had to use that at all this trip. It's always handy to have some extra plastic bags with you. When you buy food and stuff, it always comes in packages that don't sort of that you can't reseal, and this makes it a lot handier. Peanuts, a staple. In here I also tend to keep my spare tube, but that's on the bike at the moment. Even more peanuts. So basically that's it. As I say, that's very empty at the moment, but mainly because I have finished eating all my food. Continuing backwards, I have a phone adapter, a little holder for my phone. I've been using the iPhone to both navigate with and to listen to music or audio books or whatever. And I've been charging it through this Cycle 2 charger with the dynamo hub that came originally on this bike, and it's been brilliant. I charge it through an extra battery which I keep in one of these side pouches, these handlebar side pouches, and I have it connected to the charger and connected to the phone, and depending on which I pull in and out, I can either charge this or I can use this to charge the phone. So I can fix that just while I'm riding along. And that's proved excellent. The actually worked better than I expected. The dynamo actually keeps this charged really, really well. It depends a little bit on how fast you're going, but as soon as when you're traveling on an ordinary sort of touring type section, it really charges really well. In some of the more off-road sections, well, you don't really get the speed to charge it quite as well, but it works reasonably well still. In the other side pocket, I have two of these. Or in the side of this, I actually have a mount, a little clamp with a 1/4" thread on it that I can use to mount somewhere on the bike to mount my 360 camera. It's a Insta360 camera with a selfie stick, and I can mount that, either hold it or I can mount that on the bike. It's been quite fun to use, easy to use, maybe a little bit too easy, maybe a little bit lazy, and everything apart from the sound in windy situations has been quite good. There I also keep my reading glasses, which unfortunately I need all the time now. Then I have this magnetic food bag or magnetic tank bag. Here I keep snacks that I have on the go. At the moment I've just got some lollies in this bag, And I also keep my Swiss Army knife. You have to be able to open wine bottles and beer bottles. It's very important to have one of these with you. And my toolkit. I use this Top Peak toolkit. I like it quite a lot. It has everything I need, and it works really, really well. Maybe a little bit heavier than absolutely necessary, but I really feel I have good quality tools with me when I have this. Then I have at the bottom, in an ordinary bottle cage, I have my spare water. This is a 75 milliliter water bottle that I don't tend to use on a daily basis. It's just emergency water. It's when I run out of water or anything else. Then I have a 1.5 litre bottle, and I either have two 1.5 litre bottles, or even two 2 litre bottles will fit in these anything cages. Sometimes I have one bottle of water and one bottle of something else more interesting to drink. It varies a lot what I have there, but that generally gets me through. In Europe it's no problem. That's probably more than enough water most of the time. Then I have, on top of the rack, I have my sleeping kit. Held on by two voilet straps. These straps are really, really good. In a dry sack that is probably a little bit too big. I could use a smaller one so I could compress it a little bit more. But here I keep my air mattress, the bag for inflating the air mattress, and my sleeping bag. It's actually a quilt I use at the moment rather than a sleeping bag. I find it more flexible in varying temperatures, and it's still warm enough when I need it to be. And I also carry a inner liner for the sleeping bag, and it adds a little bit of temperature, and it can be used by itself if it's really, really warm. I've had to use it on this trip. I've had to use the liner and the bag. It was quite cold in the beginning, and towards the end it was a lot warmer, and then I probably only needed the liner a lot of the times. This kit will probably fit in the front, and that's probably where I'll use it in the future. But it's really, really quite handy to have it in a separate bag like this, because I can pack this bag in the tent or unpack it in the tent when it's raining, and it keeps everything nice and dry. And this is an Ortlieb dry bag. It's a 22 litre one. As I said, it's probably a little bit too big, but it's been really, really good, and I've had this for several years and it's worked all the time really well. Tent poles for my tent. The tent can be pitched either with hiking poles or with these poles that make it freestanding. It's a CPAX duplex tent. I'll be doing a separate review on that tent, but I'm really pleased with it. One or two niggles, one or two minor problems with it, but I've had it since 2018, used it quite a lot, and I really like it. Then I have my two Ortlieb gravel packs with stuff strapped on top. On this side I have my bag that contains my footwear. Depending on what I'm wearing, if I'm wearing my shoes or if I'm wearing my flip-flops, it contains either shoes or flip-flops. That's all I carry. I don't carry any more than that. This is also quite handy because with just the flip-flops in it, there's a lot of extra space here, and I can put other dirty stuff in there, stuff that I don't want to mix with other stuff. So that's quite a handy bag. This is a Sea to Summit big river bag. These are quite, they're a little bit heavier than an ordinary dry bag, and they last a little bit better. And they have these side straps that I can put these straps through to make sure that they don't fall off. I also have an ass pad, just a small little pad that I can sit on if I want to. I haven't really used this so much. I should probably use it a lot more, seeing as I'm carrying it, but I have it, and I've used it once or twice. Always nice to have if it's raining, if it's bad weather, and you need to sit down somewhere dry. It also makes it a little bit more comfortable. This bag contains my clothing, basically. So it has my toiletries kit, toothbrush, well, you know, all the general stuff, some headache pills, and some just stuff I use day-to-day stuff. A comb, believe it or not. I have long pans that I switch into when I'm in town, or if the weather's been really cold and I need something to cycle in. I don't really cycle in this. I prefer to cycle in shorts. It has to be pretty cold before I change to anything apart from shorts. And even then, if it's raining, I would probably wear rain pants rather than the long pants. Extra t-shirt. Some underwear. This is I always keep an extra, either a plastic bag or a dry bag in here so I can separate my dirty stuff, my sweaty, dirty, stinky stuff from my clean stuff. Apart from that, I have the usual range of stuff. I have a travel towel, long sleeve t-shirt, some shorts that I can use to swim in, to wear when I'm washing the other stuff, or that I can just use as general shorts. A nice t-shirt for around town. Long johns when it gets really cold. I actually had to use these a couple of times at the beginning of the trip. It was quite cold to sleep in mainly. And I also keep a pair of warmer socks for the same reason. So I carry 3 pairs of socks, 2 thin pairs that I use with the shoes or day to day, and 1 slightly thicker pair that I use mainly if I need something when it's cold and I need something dry to sleep in. All wool. In this bag, I also have a little pack of extra stuff. And here I have some more face masks. Yeah, I have too many of those at the moment. I didn't need those towards the end. But I have a small little extra piece of towel that I can use to dry down the inside of the tent, to dry something off without getting my big towel wet. I use this for all sort of odds and ends stuff. I have a headlamp. I have an extra voilie strap. I have some a buff. And I also have some warmer gloves in there. So it's basically my accessory stuff, warmer stuff that I need every now and again. I haven't had to use nearly anything of this on this trip. So it actually started out in the front for easy access. But as I realized that I wasn't using it, sort of ended up back here instead. The other bag has my tent, lightweight, Sedpacks duplex, again in one of these Sea and Summit big river bags. It fits quite well. I like having the tent in a separate bag and not packing it inside the panniers because it's usually wet when you pack it down. Even if it's not raining, you get condensation and stuff like that. So it makes it very easy to keep it separate and keep everything else dry and clean. Then in the bag, this bag now contains a lot of the electronics, stuff I probably don't use while I'm riding, but when that stuff when I stay and when I stop to make some edit some videos, backup memory card stuff, whatever I'm doing. It can be lying in the tent at night, or it could be in a hotel room. So here I have an extra SSD disk for backups. Card readers, little odds and ends, little extra SD cards for the camera and the 360 camera, and adapters from USB-C to USB, ordinary USB connection. Just the odds and ends I need to be able to back up and copy memory cards. Then I have my power pack. In here I have the charger for both my iPhone, the laptop, an extra power bank. I didn't really think I was going to get by with just 1 power bank, which I have. I haven't had any problems at all. So I actually have 1 extra power bank that I really didn't need. A couple of extra cables, and that's about it for that pack. The heaviest thing in here is the computer, naturally. A MacBook Air M1, Nice light, very powerful computer for what it is, but it's this the sort of thing that makes the weight add up. If I was doing the European Divide and really wanted to enjoy it, I'd probably carry a lot less camera gear and I wouldn't carry this stuff. But because I decided I wanted to make videos of as each section as they happened at this time, I more or less had to carry it. So for a longer trip, if you're going to be out for 3-4 months and you want to be able to update websites or anything like that, well, you need to carry something like this. Possibly an iPad might do in the future. But for shorter trips, overnighters or a 1-week trip or something like that, I wouldn't carry this. And then we have rain gear. One thinner jacket for day-to-day stuff and one jacket that's more of like a proper hiking type Gore-Tex style jacket. This gets wet either with sweat or rain if it's raining, and this is meant for more in camp, walking around town or something like that. So this gets sweaty, stinky and pretty foul, and this is meant to be a little bit cleaner so I can use it when I'm camped out. Tiny first aid kit. Gloves that aren't supposed to be here, they're supposed to be in the other bag. Wet weather pants. Again, I wear these not only for against rain, but to get a little bit warmer if it's cold. And so I prefer to get these wet rather than my other long pants that I can use for something else. One of my favorite pieces of equipment, my down jacket. In the beginning, I used this more or less every day, every morning, every night, every time I stopped in a town. But since the middle of May, the weather's got a lot warmer and I just haven't used it much, and I'm able to pack it at the back here. And the last thing in this side is a little toolkit with spares. This has my pump, a really good quality pump, some other extra spokes, derailleur hanger, spoke key, patch kit for both tubes and for the air mattress, a tubeless patch kit, and a larger Allen key that fits both the pedals and the wheel axles. This kit is probably, and I keep a spare extra nuts and bolts and things like that. This kit is probably a little bit too big. I would probably try to make this a little bit smaller next time around. I haven't really had much need of stuff in it, but it's nice to have. That's basically about it. That's what I've carried, and generally I'd say both the bike and the equipment that I have used has worked really well. I would like to pare down the weight and carry a little bit less. I had the chance to weigh everything. Basically this setup with a little bit more food than you see here and carrying a little bit more than 2.5 liters of water, weighed in at 35 kilos, the bike and all the equipment with bags and everything, which I think is pretty reasonable for this amount of stuff. Depending on why I'm doing a ride, I might choose to carry less computer and photography equipment. That will bring the weight way down and make it a little bit smaller, everything as well. And but generally, everything has worked quite well. Clothes-wise, I've probably carried a little bit too much, but that's mainly because I've been out for such an extended period of time, and there's been such a range of temperatures. So I really needed some really warm stuff in the beginning and some really cool, cooler stuff to wear as it got warmer later on in the trip. And basically, there wasn't a lot of that stuff that I could have done without. The thing that I haven't used hardly at all is maybe the rain pants. Everything else has got some use. I had maybe 1 or 2 t-shirts too many, but I wore out a couple during the trip, so yeah. Basically, that's the setup. Now I'm going to sort it all out, do some washing, have a shower, get a food, and then maybe get rid of the expedition beard.